Good
That's it.
evening. This is Saleshvari, and welcome back to Paperback Porters. What is wrong with me tonight? Welcome to Paperback Porters, and tonight we have Nick Nesbit. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks.
All right. So we have your book. We have your book, Children of the 29, the first leap years,
Leap days.
leap days. What is
Yeah.
what is wrong with me tonight?
Well, it's based on people born in the in a leap year. So
Right.
yeah,
So the first leap days, blue.
yeah.
Those born on the 29th of February, also known as leap days, are believed to possess special skills and longevity. For private investigators, this is especially true where his tuition is concerned. Now investigating a quadruple murder, he's caught up in the feud between twins Marius and Markus, the oldest leap days in history. Now in the 21st century, their eyes to the cosmos and the discovery of new planets with the possibility of new civilizations excited. Each has his own motives and designs for what the future may hold. So, how long have you been writing this?
Uh, Actually, in February itself, would you believe?
Ah,
Yeah. The idea basically came about from another project I was doing with uh, an Australian platform in furious writing,
right,
and their prompt was give a short story on aspects of quantum. And
mhm,
because we were in a leap year and certain things were popping up on my feed about people who were born as leap days, I did some
right.
research into it, and an idea started to form.
Okay.
Yes.
So I know the book was marketed as sci-fi, but it does read a lot more like a fantasy, right?
Yes.
Particularly with the tropes of these people that uh, are interested in science and choose to use their gifts to guide humanity in, according to their agendas.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. Um, well, these immortals, for lack of a better word, um, what I tried to do well, is try to take away the mysticism from it and try to attack it from a more scientific point of view, where they're not your classic immortals. And
Right.
yes, even though I wanted the myth of vampires to be based on them.
Right.
They're, and that's how they survive, as opposed to how a vampire would need. They just use the blood, the stem cells in the blood
Mhm.
to prolong their lives. You
Right.
know, and yeah, it keeps them looking young, uh, keeps them young and moving on. Yeah.
Right. So
However,
a lot
I made one of the crack characters sound like Jack.
of people oh, sorry, I didn't hear you there. What was it? I think you're still.
Well, basically, they're yeah, their myths are based. They're the source of the vampire myth in this series, right? But it goes deeper. I tried to make them, you know, I took influences from other places, underworld, for example, and I wanted it to look more like a mutation. But I think I basically put a lot of backstory in there in this first book.
Mm. Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
lot of backstory. There were
Yeah.
yeah, like I realized that you fleshed out a lot of like where they came from, and so it was this journey for Alex, the protagonist. It was this journey for him
Right.
discovering so much about this thing that he never thought existed,
Yes.
right? And I've spoken about each of them have their gifts, as you mentioned in the blue. and Alex's gift
Yeah.
is intuition. What are some of the gifts that other gifts that a person might have?
Well, I mean, the characters, for example, the base characters, Marcus and Marius, of course, they're immortal. They're about 100,000 years old, going back as
Right,
far as the last ice age, right? Uh,
right,
the the female supporting the female protagonist, Janesworth, she's about in her 80s, somewhere around there, still looking like she's in her 30s. And of course,
mhm,
Alex, he's what I would call an incarnate. He lives and dies. He comes back
right,
every now and again. Yeah. But I mean,
right,
all of them, of course, are born on the 29th of
right,
February. Yes.
right. I mean, which all ties into, my husband
Yes.
and I were talking about how we have horoscopes where you have certain characteristics based on when you're born. For
Yeah.
example, we all know Scorpios to be toxic, no good people. And I'm saying that my entire inner circle is Scorpio.
Ah,
Specifically, specifically from that second week in November. So November Scorpios are my jam. And
ah,
Sagittarians are God's gift to humanity. I mean, I didn't, that's just how it
yeah.
is. Yeah. So why would a person, and something like a person born on the 29th of February, this is somebody who basically has a birthday that matches their birth
Yes.
certificate
Yes.
once every 4 years.
Well, I did do a little bit of research into astrology as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it may show a little bit of hints there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if someone is being if people are being born on the 29th of February, like there's the other houses, like your rising, your moon sign,
Right.
your multiple houses, your first, your 59, and so on. Those are based on what decade you're born. So would
Yeah.
that also influence a person's gift?
Yes, it does.
Nice. These are like generational gifts. Or is it more like the Chinese zodiac where, you're born in a particular year, those are your gifts?
Oh, I've done some of that as well. So yes, I've looked into all of that as well. So there are influences like that in this type of writing.
Right. Okay. And like what type of media do you consume? What kind of books you read? What's your genre for reading? Because I know you read one genre, but we also,
Yes.
multi multi-genre.
Well, my core genre has always been between uh, hard hard crime and espionage. I love my espionage. Secondary is like a little caper where there's someone stealing some priceless treasure or some such.
I love a heist movie.
Yeah,
I love a heist book.
but I also love anything in sci-fi, uh, the little bit of fantasy, yes, and even romance.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I mean, in any story,
Romance in film and literature just do it
yes,
don't compare.
yeah,
It just don't compare. To me, it doesn't compare. It just like these genre expectations just don't hit for me the same way.
but
And it's
yes,
like
well,
I'm entitled to a flow, okay? I'm
yeah,
entitled to a flow.
yeah. Yeah, but the reason I really look at romance too is because I mean it adds to your protagonist if he's male or even female, where a love interest could give the character that extra push, to
Hmm.
go down a better path or you know.
Yeah, it
Uh,
also has a different dimension, like a different facet to an
yes.
individual. Like how they love will be different, or even similar to how they fight.
Yes.
Theoretically. Yeah. So what so in terms of heists, what is your favorite heist movie, book, heist
Uh,
in fiction? What's your favorite?
After a while, they all basically come down to the same thing. You have a treasure, go get it.
Oh, so
Some of them,
what I'm saying is which one what is your like what will what am I gonna say? I am such a mess tonight.
yeah, it's okay. It's been a very hectic day for us all, I'm sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, basically, everything after the Italian Job was, it was okay. But Italian Job, love it, Trevor. Thomas Crown Affair also has a little bit of a, those 90s capers.
Yeah.
Really
There
good.
was
Yeah.
a Spanish film. It's in Spanish, and we used to show it during their foreign language film nights.
Right.
It translates to Nine Queens, and that was heist revenge. It was one of my. I think that was what got me hooked. Like I like a heist film, but that's the one that got me hooked on heist as a trope. So is it a heist?
Yeah.
Good, great. Give it to me. Let me see. Give it to me.
Yeah. I mean, even little stories like that one in the 2000s, like Fool, I think it's Fool's Gold,
Hmm.
with, yeah. I mean, anything with treasure, always been into it. And actually, some of my characters are like that. Not in this book, probably, but yeah, you know,
I know
where they,
that.
yeah, where they have to go on a quest, to retrieve
Mhm.
this treasure, to make life better or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I know National Treasure was often billed as an action film, but
Yeah.
at its it's a heist. It's heist,
Yep.
you know?
Pretty planned heist. Yep.
Yeah. And there's also the mystery element of it where I also like that. It felt like a those detective noir out of the 1940s. I
Right.
got that vibe from the like a lot of the tropes were there, the sexy female, the femme fatale, right?
Yes.
Um, who is also, I'm sorry, the capable femme fatale. Favorite. I love a villainous female character. I love me a villain,
All right.
right? Impossible. I love a there's also the like family doesn't play as heavily in it, but there's a lot of familial connections and
Yeah.
how people interact with family. That was also like different characters related differently to their own concepts of family.
Yes. And of course, the mother or father will always be, the mentor that pushes them forward. So,
Yeah. And there's also the brothers, the twins, who have their own highly complicated relationship.
yes.
What inspired that? Do you have a brother like that, or?
Uh, you could say that, yes. But only since 2019. So, it's been, so I took from that. And then I even pulled from, again, Underworld,
Yes.
where the patriarch of the Corvinus clan, he couldn't kill either of his sons, even though he knew that there'd be a plague on mankind.
Yeah.
So he had Celine do it. So yeah, I wanted to go along those lines.
Yeah, I saw some influences from that as well. Well, I mean, we also just finished Castlevania, so maybe I was just
Right.
reading too much into that, but we had finished like a rewatch of that recently. So
I
yeah.
was too busy. I haven't caught I think the last two seasons. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, well, I mean it's Castlevania. It's Castlevania.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and have you seen Arcane? Because with the tech and the way that they've been modifying tech throughout the ages,
No, I haven't, but it's on my to watch list.
Oh, let's no. Okay, we end the stream. Nick, you have homework. Go, go. A
I
friend
really,
of mine, Donnell told me about it, and I like he has been elevated to inner circle status because man have taste. If he
yep.
says go watch something, I don't even question it anymore. It is considered watched. Considered watched. So, um, writing for you. You said you started in February of this year.
Well, this book, yes,
This book, right? Take us through what writing this was like for you.
it was fun. I mean, I like the just like my treasure hunters of old. I like uncovering little secrets. For example, how the order in the book, that clandestine uh, organization,
Right.
how it came into being. Basically, the brothers, the twins, set it up in such a way when another leap day back in the 1500s, I believe it was Pope Paul III. He was a leap day, and he was responsible for the protest the protest.
Okay. I think is going to try to restart his stream.
I'm back. I'm
Yes, you're
back.
back. So the last thing that you said on stream before you froze was
Yes.
there was a pope in the 1600s who was also born on a weekday.
Yes, and he was responsible for for the Protestant Reformation of the Catholic Church.
Right.
And at that point in time, he brought in certain orders like the Jesuits and some of those other fantastical orders that we hardly hear about that are present in the Roman Catholic Church today. So I said to
Right.
myself, let's bring that in. And of course, even though vampirism has been around, I mean, even the ancient Greeks had stories about it.
Right.
The vampire didn't come into being until about the 1700s. So I mean, just uncovering all these little secrets, I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
this could work here. So
That's kind
yeah,
of how George R. R. Martin wrote the Game of Thrones series, where
yeah,
he used uh, incidences throughout history to create
yes,
this world in which people now, these things happen
yeah,
so long ago, but how do they interact to shape the society that he's writing?
yes. And then there's also the Gregorian calendar,
Right. Which
which
you,
which which came in a few decades later after Pope Paul, well, after he died, I believe. It was in 1582, somewhere around there. It replaced the Julian calendar. And the reason the Julian calendar was replaced was so that Easter could line up properly with the calendar.
right,
Basically, that's why they did it. And I was like, you know what? That's why we have the 29th of February now.
right,
You know? I mean, even if you listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about the 29th of February and the 24-hour day we have, it still
right.
goes along those lines. So yeah, just try to make it, the science part of it, the history.
Okay, and what's just been with Nick? Nick, your camera went out, and I'm not hearing you. Okay, so I'm gonna just wait on Nick to see what is taking place. All right. And you are back.
Hang on a
Yeah,
second, Nicola.
what's that? Okay, so hang on a second.
Hiya. I was
Hi.
not hearing you there for a moment.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. You really
Yes.
scheduled this on a bad day because I mean your laptop is on the blink,
Yeah,
right?
it
So
is.
we're doing it on the phone, but we'll have a little patience. I mean, we're all a little awkward here, right? So
Yeah.
you'll fit right in with your tech issues. Your tech issues, me not remembering stuff issues. Yeah, you'll fit in fine. Come on.
Yeah.
Welcome to Paperbacked family. Unlike Pennywise, where we're all float here, we're all awkward here. So we were talking about the Gregorian calendar and how it was created in such a way to bring in the leap years, which would have made the calendar be more accurate.
Yes, for Easter, for the Catholic Church. Yeah.
Especially for Easter. I
Yeah.
actually when I came across that, I was like, what? And then when I looked it up, that was a nice little tidbit you threw in there,
Mhm.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I said we would talk about historical references, but I was like, I thoroughly, I just wanted to let you know that I enjoyed your historical references
Yeah.
because I had to take, I didn't have to take the time, but I did stop, take the time, and I was like, oh, and of course, Wikipedia, you start with one thing. So I know some things about llamas I didn't expect to, but
Right.
that's just, beauty of the beast that is Wikipedia. So plots. Let's go into plots, and if you want to walk us through parts of it for us without giving away too much.
All right. Well, basically, well, the overall theme of the story is vampires in space, and I only say that because tomorrow's Halloween. You know.
Vampires.
Uh,
Yeah, sure, man.
yeah. Right. So basically, our story starts where this young lady is in a mausoleum, and she's wondering, why the heck am I here for my birthday, right? And not knowing that her aunt, who could really be considered her great grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
had plans to revive the villain of the story, Marius.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, they don't know what the heck they are what they brought back into the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? And of course, his thing is always dominate the humans. Leap days are food for him every 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going after his own selfish goal of basically ruling and, of course, getting carried away with it. His brother Marcus, over the centuries, and especially being the engineer of Marius's exile, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he loves his brother, but he knows how carried away he can get, which of course is um, another another trait of leap days. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is, it goes along the various cultures. I tried to make the number 29 significant as well. You know, under I believe it's the Grand Hierophant, who's the leader of the order.
Right.
He has 29 people under him, and then each one has 29 under them. So, yeah. And
I
of course,
mean, 29th would be significant to them, like numbers 10 and 12 for me, because my birthday is the 10th of December. I
yes,
do have gifts because I'm, gracious to have that. 10 and 12 are important numbers for me, right?
right.
Because of course that's my birthday, that's my date of birth.
All right.
The date of birth for the birthdays for important people in my life. So
Okay.
11 is another important number because that's November, and all my favorite people are in November. But
Right.
my bestie and my husband, their birthdays are one day apart. One is the 13th, one is the 14th,
Okay.
right? His bestie is also the 13th of November. So, like I said, November is a very important month for the important people in right? The vast majority of the important people in my life are that. So seeing that number 29, where the way they created the order, it would have been important to them for them to like extend it throughout, you know,
Yes.
throughout their order. So that
Yeah.
was that was nice to see that as you know because like you say they get carried away and that getting carried away was definite. It's like sometimes it's like all of them so boy and they all
Yep.
born in 1999 they have similar attributes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like that yeah that really carried throughout with the
Yes.
other characters. Yeah.
Yes. And of course, you have these conspiracy theories, especially in the United States from 2016 to present. I mean, with shadow governments and what have you. And all of those things played a role in it as well, with the space agency, for example. you
Mm-hmm.
know. And
Oh my.
basically, the space agency was brought about because a long time ago, when our immortals
Mm-hmm.
was, well, and humankind was still, let's say, in the dark ages,
Mm-hmm.
Marcus's true love was, and this is just a spoiler here, his true love was kidnapped by aliens. So, they've always had their eyes to the stars. And of course, I mean, taking into consideration this, I mean, you mentioned Kim Possibly before. Huge cartoon freak. Even when my children were around, I said, you know what, I had to be that cartoon person to see what the heck they're watching, whatever. And of course, I'm sure you can remember Captain Planet from back in our days. And of course, they had this episode with the population bomb, where they said when the world hit 8 billion people, it's literally going to be difficult, for us to coexist together, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, November last year, that's exactly what happened. The world hit 8 billion people,
Right.
the world population. So, I wanted to put those little things inside as well. And of
My
course,
conclusion is that I love a conspiracy theory. I know it's a conspiracy theory, and I know it's just a theory.
yes,
It doesn't like I will follow this thing like I believe it, and I am just eating this like I just think of it as fiction,
yeah,
and I mean it's just your creativity manifesting as madness because you don't have an outlet for it,
yes,
right? But that is me being kind to people. But I listen. You see the lizard people conspiracy. Oh, I think
well,
it's one of my favorite. I'm just here checking to see who's a new celebrity on that list. I want
all I
Marshall
have
to
to
be
say,
on that list. I want Marshall Montano to be
yeah.
on that list so bad. So bad. Right?
Well, all I have to tell you is stay tuned for
Anyway, let's get
2028.
up. I will get carried away with why Marshall should be on that list,
Yeah.
right? And we don't have time for that. Let us move on. What will you say?
All I had to say when you wrote up Blizzard people, I'm just saying stay tuned for 2028. Because, I mean, as a writer, if you're looking to get out there with the product you're creating, I mean, you literally have to be throwing out series now. I mean, a, a, a one a, a one book is okay, you know, but I mean a continuing story. I mean, I think you could consider it the new graphic novel, the new comics. You know, even though
Not just
comics
that, I
are
think
still,
especially within the genre, within like
yeah,
sci-fi and fantasy in particular, because of the nature of world building. You do so much work to create all this backstory. You have created like an alternative history, basically. You're gonna go and recreate that, reinvent the wheel for your second novel or your third, or are you going to? I have a friend who is doing that, who is creating whole new worlds, but that's because he's a dungeon master
right,
and his brain works very, very differently to the rest of us.
right,
And and he's very visual, so he sees these worlds.
yeah,
They're fully formed in his head. I'm not jealous, but I'm like, ugh, Just a little, this is good. But that's my boy, that's my friend. Actually, I have his book too. Yeah, I haven't gotten into it yet, but as soon as I do, we on.
Yes. Well, um, I mean, I did do more research in that, again, going with the 29 theory, the 29 idea.
Motif? Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of, well, for me, everybody, well, people who know me know that, I just consider myself a child of the world. Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
love to travel, but I don't just, I mean, in a Trinidadian setting, I'll see myself as a Trinidadian. Even when I go out there, people will ask me where you're from, Trinidad, yes. But I see myself more as a child of, I use that term because, I mean, in all our histories, all our myths, all our laws, from Hinduism to Christianity, ancient Greek, and all that, they do have similarities in ancient Mesopotamian. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're all they all have connecting stories. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing my research, I found oh, between the Incas, the North Scandinavian myths, Hindu myths,
Mm-hmm.
and again, that's why I say wait until 2028,
Right.
which of course is our next leap year. So, because I was not lying. I put this book out prematurely, as you can tell by now, but I just wanted to see what the response would be, because I like to sometimes put on my books as I want to have a theme behind it, which is why I did it like this. And I named this first one Children of the 29, for the series.
Yeah, then something with your audio from start. If you have a mic plugged in or something.
Uh, you on my last one. Hey, I tell you,
Uh,
these, yeah. Hmm.
yeah, a lot better. Yeah. There's a lot of
Yes.
feedback. For a second there. Yeah.
Yes, I had another device that was jumping on this thing, so I just removed it.
What is it? Is it like a Bluetooth
Yeah,
device? Yeah, you might have to disconnect it
it's
from
a
it. You
Bluetooth
move it from.
device. Yeah, and I just realized yeah,
Yeah, because your feedback is bad, so I think it's
where did it go?
reconnecting.
Right, it's still reconnected. No,
Yeah, because I'm still getting the
okay.
feedback. This is static.
Huh. Please tell me it's better now. It isn't. Ah,
We can work through it,
I tell
man.
you.
You want to do a quick restart and see if that helps?
Sure.
All right. I'm just here.
All right.
All right. So we will just wait for Nick. We have discussed his inspo and writing journey, the plot a little bit. We'll move into the characters. Um, yeah, so we start off with twins Marius and Markus. So yes, we'll talk about them first, and then we move on to our protagonists. Yeah, so Nick is back. All right, a lot better. A
Gotcha.
lot better. Nothing about a restart couldn't fix, man. Small thing.
Yeah.
So we spoke right inspo and writing journey, the plot, the characters, Marius and Markus.
Yes.
Let's talk about them a little bit. Markus being the villain. He
Yeah.
was, you know who I thought of? X-Men,
Okay.
Magneto.
It could work. That was an
Right?
influence.
Like there's
Yeah.
that idea of supremacy, but he just lacks that. He lacks
Yes.
that because a lot
Humanity.
of people see Magneto as being a villain, but
Yes.
Marius is like, but if we better than them, why not?
Yes.
Which to me is which is just as valid. I think that is valid because if I better than you, why I gotta listen to you? That makes real sense to me. So
Exactly.
I'm not pro Marius, but I see the vision. I get the vision. I get the point.
Yes. And of course, Marcus is like Professor X. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, it's like
You know,
I cannot kill my brother even though he is the scourge upon mankind.
yes. You know, when I first put down the first words, when I put down the first words, where he was basically stating, humans are not just, cattle or whatever for us. You know what I was thinking of? Finding
Um,
Nemo. When Bruce looks at Marlin and Dory and he says,
Fish
"Fish
are
are
our
friends,
friends.
not food."
Why not food?
And it just clicked. I'm like, wait, now how the heck does reach in there?
Yeah.
As a writer, sometimes your mind just goes you're on one thing, and it just flips to something else one time. So
And
yeah,
I was like, I got like I was like, we finally. I think I have that note somewhere. I'm not too sure. I have to go and check it, but I did. Like I was supposed to bring that up, but yeah, that was hilarious. That was funny. That was pretty
yeah,
funny. Yeah. So Alex Kerrigan, right? Let's talk about him a little bit.
yes, right.
Tell
So
me how
basically, he's been reincarnated,
right.
right? So past lives, there's nothing there. It's just an empty slate. But from the time he meets Marcus, something just clicks. He just gets his heart starts beating quickly. He basically has something. Well, I guess you could call it a panic attack. But he just starts
Right.
seeing visions. Yeah, and that's when it kicks in for him. But because as a lead day himself, he's very
Mhm.
intuitive. I mean, Marcus was off the grid. He was off the map. He also has an alter ego, of course, a professor in history, and obviously because I mean he's so old. um, and it was difficult to find him. But Alex, of course, did it, in a matter of hours, finding him.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, Marcus doesn't let in, hey, I know you. And it's only later on you realize how everybody ties in, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? So it's him. It's Sherman DeWitt.
Yes.
Spoilers, no spoilers. But they're friends, and it's Sherman
Yes.
that brings the job to him basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk
Because
about Sherman.
Alex, of course, is an ex police officer
Right.
turned PI. I mean,
Right.
why have a gift and not use it, right? So, you know, the police aren't finding much headway. So, he throws his friend a bone because he was disgraced and, basically ran out of the city. Well, he ran away from the city because of what happened previously.
Right.
The politics of it all, again, influences from the current political situation in the US,
Mm.
since that's where the book is based. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Penelope Kingsley, she's also a lead baby. So
Yes.
I didn't yet get a sense of what her gift was, so to speak. But
Well,
I did see that there's a second book being planned, so we get to
yes.
see like, more
Well,
of.
I wanted a love interest for Kerrigan just to push his character further.
Mhm.
So, plus, it was just convenient to put her as a coroner.
That. Mhm. Could you repeat what you said? My
Okay.
connection was lost. I didn't hear you.
Yeah. Well, I wanted her to be a love interest to push
Right.
Kerrigan's character, further into his into the destiny that I created for him.
Mhm.
And also, it was just convenient to put her as a coroner,
Mhm.
but a coroner who has some extra skills. You know, she helps the police in other aspects as well. You know, like in terms of murder weapons and what have you. Uh, NCIS was a little bit of a influence on that one.
Right.
Where you have the characters intermingling between their departments.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go sub teachers past that once in this stream. Miguel, behave. I love him to let the police behave. Um, so that is Penelope,
Yeah.
Marius Markus. Edgar Norwich, he has his own motivations. He has
Yes.
stuff going
He,
on.
he basically, well, I mean, again, most of the book is based in some sort of reality or conspiracy theory. For example, I pulled an article, I think it was from NASA, I could be mistaken, where they say we'll be mining uh, cosmic bodies by the year 2073, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Mhm.
And of course, taking from another documentary I saw where they said, I mean, mining from one asteroid, the minerals from one asteroid could be in the quintillions of dollars. I mean,
Mhm.
let's just look at the forex market, the global forex market. Basically, you have about 5 point something trillion dollars circulating the globe every 6 days, right? And that's
Right.
basically foreign exchange. That's like about 12, 12, 12 zeros or something. A quintillion is like 18 zeros. You could
Mhm.
imagine somebody being that rich and immortal at the same time. I mean, basically, that's like you being able to control. So he's very ambitious,
Right.
yeah, but he doesn't
I mean,
understand what's behind it.
not even talking about planetary domination. We're talking about like universe domination, basically, at this point.
Yes, yes, yes,
Like world domination is just a stepping stone,
yeah,
at this point.
yep. But I mean, if you had a quintillion dollars, hello, world domination one time. I mean,
I mean, how much stuff you could really buy on Amazon with that?
hello, no, but you
How
know
you
what?
know the
You know
how,
what really? What? Plus, I think I wrote the book because I was a bit angry at our billionaires going up into space to float in anti-gravity for maybe a few hours just to come back down and say, hey, all you poor people, check check us out, you know? I mean, you could literally do that in a chamber and in specialized um
or they
specialized.
could, they could do all of that on Earth without all that
Yeah,
radiation
yeah.
exposure.
The only highlight for me was when Shatner went up there. I mean, the original
And
Captain Kirk, it was like, yeah, boss, you go. Happy for you. But at the same time, I mean, it was a pointless exercise as far as I saw.
mm,
It's a waste of money.
mm.
So yeah. So it was literally a slap to them. You all could be doing more.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so yeah.
So the historical references, I had it here that we would have discussed that after the characters. We start off with an ice age practically. They were born before the last ice age,
Yes.
right? And then
Yes.
all the other things like there is connections where there's connections like there's talismans. There's a knife actually, sorry, not a talisman. What am I saying? A knife that spans. It belongs to one culture, but it has markings from another culture, and that just shows
Exactly.
how their travels connected these cultures
Yeah.
together.
Well, imagine you're born, imagine you've lived over 100,000 years. That's basically when the last ice age was, more or less, right?
Mm.
If you had 100,000 years, how many times could you have traversed the globe in a
Pretty much.
boat?
You understand?
I mean,
How much
everybody
time
was
was
saying,
on the airline?
everybody was saying years ago when we learned, when we learned that Columbus rediscovered Trinidad and Tobago, 1498, right?
Mm.
And of course, the New World, basically, he discovered the Americas in 1492, 6 years
Which
prior. But
as a
of course, we
thing
have
before.
archaeology shows that Norwegians literally landed in Greenland like about 600 or 800 years before.
Mm.
You know, so I mean, if you had 100,000 years, you could more than do that.
And
You,
of course,
uh,
that's not even to mention the people that were living there from even, before that.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
we call the natives, the indigenous people of that
yeah.
land.
Yes, as well as, I mean, let's say you live with a people for a number of years. Everyone dies off. People will look at you as a witch or something. I mean, something demonic.
To move
You know,
on.
and maybe you get tired of killing everybody, killing your opposition to reign supreme. Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, as humans, eventually we will get tired. I mean, in this day and age, in the last 200 years, humankind has advanced in so many ways. There are much more things, especially in 21st century now.
Mm.
Everything's at our fingertips. Back
Mm.
then, when you get bored, you go, you just jump in a boat, go.
Mm.
So, yes, but those specialized blades, those specialized obsidian blades, yeah.
There's a comment you made just now, and
Hmm.
it ties into something that Marcus had said. Um, you live that long,
Yeah.
all the things you'd
Yes.
have seen, all the things you'd have experienced. And he picked up on a pattern when it comes to humanity, which
Yes.
is, they will do anything and they'll become more and more destructive with the things, they'll choose destruction for the
Yes.
purpose of supremacy as opposed to collaborative effort. And therefore, he has had to gatekeep a lot of his technology.
Yes. As well as the times, well, things didn't advance for him in the book until the 1980s,
Yeah,
because you notice what he's trying to do in the book, right? He's
right.
trying to wean off of being that vampire, as it were.
Hmm.
You know, so I wanted to put some humanity in him there after all these millennia.
But we've had what was it? I think there was Anne Rice. Like a lot of her vampire characters often seek to cure themselves of their vampirism because they've chosen to cling to humanity to the point where they're rejecting themselves in their current states.
Yes.
Right? Like that is a theme that has run throughout. For example, the Mayfair witches. There is the vampire that is trying to become mortal again because he's trying to experience
Yes.
mortality that again. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was a I don't know if that was a nod or if that was just he's lived
I'm
so long his
influenced.
family and you know
Yes, I'm influenced by all of them. I mean, I may not name them during this
that is there.
during here, but yeah, I mean, they do.
All right.
All of
And
them influence it.
you did end the book. It's where did I have it? Right. The quest for immortality. I remember that where you tied that in. Right. Coming soon, second book in the series, The Light in the Darkness. Attempting to
Yes,
cure himself from the transmission, Maria seeks the help of a recluse elder on planet K Proxima HH while subjugating the planet's inhabitants. Little does he know there's a reason the planet is called. Join a villain to see if he'll become the victor or finally the victim of his own making.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that isn't spoilery? What can you like tease from us?
Well, again, well, you can tell I do a lot of research. So
Yeah.
basically, that particular planet came into being simply because, I mean, at the beginning of the year, you heard of that the is it James Wood telescope? Oh gosh, I forget the name now. James Wood, the is it the James? I'm saying James Wood, and I know it's not. This telescope, you know, you're getting brighter colors. Everything seems brighter now in the sky with that
Mhm.
particular telescope.
James.
And yeah, I can't remember the name of the telescope. It just left me
I
like,
think astrophysicist.
yeah. Well,
What's his
basically,
name? James Webb.
James
Yeah, yeah,
Webb. Yeah,
James
and
Webb.
I'm saying Wood. Yeah, it and it captured photos of a planet that looked like it had city lights on it.
Right.
And I wanted to take a nod to that. However, I wanted it to be back in 2012 because, of course, remember back in 2012 they were like, "Oh, the Mayan calendar, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
we're going to end. There's this big rift in the sky, and things will be aligned." And you know, those
Yeah.
particular conspiracy theories. I wanted to take a nod to both those things. So basically, I have a planet with that doesn't spin on its axis anymore. It
Wow.
has inhabitants, and I want to go more into that theme that I'm pushing between the fight between light and darkness, basically. Because one spoiler, because I like giving spoilers, uh, Marcus literally starts looking like a vampire. Because, I mean, not only on planet Earth would you have people being born on the 29th of February, right?
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, it may not be called the 29th of February on another planet, but I mean, being 100,000 years old, you know, you literally could have the intuition when, you know, things are aligned. Yes.
Mhm. That was kind of given some Highlander where he's like, oh, this person is, you know,
Well,
that panic attack that he gets.
mhm.
Highlander headache.
Yes, yes. When you get that headache and yeah, I see you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But thank you so very, very, very much for joining us. We are
yes,
almost at the hour mark. Um, keep writing.
yes. I will, but I'll eventually do a revision to it because, like I said, I was just timing myself. I wanted to push myself to see how far I would go and what the response would be.
Mm-hmm.
How the market is and how but since then I've gotten a after these few months I'm looking more into the business side of writing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do have a business background, so it's like uh it's just on another level now. You know, it's a learning curve to overcome.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a learning curve is just a journey, you know.
always.
It's just a journey, you know, and every journey is its own story. Um, keep writing. Let's see what takes place for Marius and Marcus. Let's, you know, tell
Yes.
us more about Alex. You know, and the
Yeah.
I mean, a writer is like an athlete. You know, you learn form, you learn, you know, you
Yes.
develop, you do better. And if you don't look back on your writing, then are you really progressing? You know what I mean? Right.
Yes.
So Nick, congratulations on your debut.
Thank you.
Right, all the best with your writing. All right, and our next stream will be. I have to pull up my calendar because it's not quite. Um,
And Hey, you're back.
I'm back. So I was talking to myself, boy. So I'll just recap. Uh, connection was interrupted. So Erin, he just Erin is booked for Sunday the 3rd of November at 7:30 p.m. and we will be discussing Cambion's trilogy. This is the story of Lily, who is a half succubus, half human, and her journeys in San Francisco. Right? It is a trilogy. I absolutely, absolutely, absolutely love the first book. And we have the other two in the series, and we will be discussing all three. So join me on Sunday, not Wednesday, Sunday, 7 p.m. Same bad time, same bad channel, but on a Wednesday. Erin is a good friend of mine, but I met in a writing circle. So she's my friend because she writes, right? I don't love her because she's my friend. I don't love her writing because she's my friend. She's my friend because I love her writing. So that's that. So I will see you all on Sunday with Erin. Like again, thank you so much for your time, everybody. Thanks for watching.